I live here. So.
Oh, I forget that you're used to this.
Yeah, this is a heat wave right now.
Don't do that, because this is horrible. I love summertime shy, though.
Summertime shy is a real thing.
I love that.
It is a real thing.
Not this.
Yeah, this ain't it. This ain't it, for real.
Yeah, I don't like it.
I am looking at moving.
Where
soon.
do you want to move?
Somewhere south. I
Why?
I got to get out of this cold.
Oh, so it's about temperature and climate.
Yeah, and my mother lives here with me. She's 90 years old.
Okay.
So I got to get her somewhere where she can kind of move around in the daytime. So
I want to move to South Carolina. I know it's the South, but I want to move to South Carolina.
I would love that too, but my people don't want to live in South Carolina.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. You're like, I tried.
They scared of the rural.
Oh.
Yeah.
See, I grew up in a rural. Like, it took a long time for me to admit that, because to me it was a city, but it's not.
Where are you from?
Ohio.
What part?
Mansfield. Are you laughing because it's rural? Are you laughing?
No. I'm actually laughing because I have a real life story.
I need to hear it.
So, Southfield track.
Yes.
We're running in Mansfield. We run the Mansfield relays every year.
Yeah, it's like one of the most popular track meets ever.
One of the biggest.
Mehawk. It was Mehawk relays.
Mansfield Mehawk relay.
Yes. Yeah.
So I'm talking about I went every year. We went 4 years in a row.
It's a thing.
And I took my ACTs down there because it was the same.
Oh, because it was at the same time. Yeah.
All that. So I meet this girl.
Oh, in Mansfield.
In Mansfield.
Ooh, Mansfield love. Okay.
And I'm calling her. And all of a sudden, my mother comes in first of the month like, who lives in Mansfield, Ohio? Built all toll calls. Like $300 worth of toll calls. Back in the day. That relationship ended right there.
It was over. It was a wrap.
Yeah.
Oh, that is hilarious.
Yeah, it needed to be over. She had a Jerry curl. And it wasn't cool.
Okay, wait a minute, though. You love that Jerry curl because you got her number. You were calling. You spent $300+. Don't try to play the Jerry curl now.
Yeah, I didn't know I was spending $300. And I was just out of a Jerry curl myself, so I couldn't be too.
Yeah, you can't be a hater.
I thought I could save her.
You thought?
I thought I could save her.
I'm going to save her. She's going to be my boo.
Yeah, but no, Mansfield was cool. Is
it rural?
Yes.
Oh, I was hoping you would be like, no, you grew up in a city.
No. Cleveland is y'all closest city.
Columbus, too. You can get an hour each way.
Columbus, where is that?
Don't do that.
Oh, sorry.
I forget these Michigan people. They don't do Columbus.
Did he discover America? I thought
He's like Columbus.
And it's flat, right? This joint. I'm just saying, like.
Don't be a hater.
I'm not.
Oh my goodness, I love it. I love that you have a Mansfield story because no one knows where Mansfield is.
Oh, Mansfield's a spot.
Okay.
True love in Mansfield.
True love.
Jerry curl juice and sprints.
You know that's going to be the title of this episode. True love in Mansfield.
No.
Yeah.
You gonna get me?
Okay, just kidding.
Yeah. True love is in Tinley Park right now. That's where it is.
Well, let's put some respect on her name. Yeah. Okay.
Is this mic on?
It is. It's hot. It's
and
on
she
there.
recording it.
Yeah. Yeah. We got the whole story.
Here we go.
Listen, welcome to our next episode of Princess of STEM Diaries. Okay, but you have to tell me, do you go by Rick or Galen?
You know what? It depends on the situation.
Oh, tell us what. Okay.
If this is a business meeting, then I have to be Galen.
Why do you have to be?
Or if you're writing a check, it's going to be Galen.
You said it's Galen. Okay.
Yeah.
Doctor.
Yes.
Doctor.
Dr. Galen Duncan.
Galen Duncan. Mm-hmm. Let's put some respect on your name. Well, where does Rick come from, or is that a story I'm not allowed to know?
No, you can know that.
Okay.
My middle name is Richard, which is French for Richard. You know how black people do.
Yes.
And so my mother said, we're going to call the boy Ricky. And
that's
it
what
caught on. And so, you stand up like the first day, kindergarten, first grade, they say, I know.
You're like, Ricky. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, it was tough enough being as skinny as I was. I couldn't have a name that was going to bring any more attention to me in terms of clowning.
Oh, I get it.
Yeah. You're in seventh grade, you're immature.
Yeah.
They're
I get
immature.
It. I get it. So we're going to call you Dr. Galen on the podcast.
We'll
Dr.
do that
Galen.
today.
Okay,
yeah.
We'll do that today.
That'll work.
Okay, so I need to know about your path. Like, where'd you go to school? What did you do?
Yeah, well, I'm a proud graduate of Southfield Public Schools.
Yeah.
It's a place where we grew up very different than most.
In Southfield?
Absolutely.
Okay, I need to know more.
It was a blend of almost an upper middle class African American.
Yeah.
but we were kind of first generation because none of us really grew up there. It was where our parents went to
After.
when they made it,
Yeah,
per
yeah,
se.
yeah.
And so we grew up in an environment that was Jewish, Black, Arab, you know, a number of different ethnicities that allowed us to experience, you know, what real culture looks like.
Yeah.
And, you know, we didn't have a lot of problems with race. We didn't have a lot of problems with getting along in our structure because we knew people from all different backgrounds.
Yeah. That's beautiful.
Yeah. Oh, it was it was a marvelous upbringing.
I feel like that's what we claim America to be, but we fell short of all of that.
No, Southfield was the last of the great American cities, and I don't know if it can't even touch what it was when we were coming along because it was just different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what activities did you do in high school?
Primarily sports. I ran track, ran cross country.
Yeah.
Played a little football until I decided not to do that anymore and play basketball. Yeah.
Why not? Wait, football for a little bit. What happened? What's the football story?
So I've been this height since I was 14, 13.
Oh, that's wow.
But I weighed about 125, 130.
That's where the skinny came in. You were like, I can't. Yeah.
And so I kept getting injured, and my primary sport was basketball.
Got it.
And so I never started a basketball season on time until I stopped playing football.
Got it.
So it's one of those things I had to kind of make a choice.
Okay.
But I was able to let her in all four: cross country, track, football, and basketball.
That's rare.
Yeah.
Kudos.
Yeah.
You're very athletic.
I love sports.
Okay.
It was the only way you was going to get me in the classroom. So
Got it.
That or my parents beating the mess out of me, but that's a whole other story.
You're like sports or a beating.
Yeah.
Okay.
Those two things, yeah.
Okay, but then after high school.
So I went to Lake Superior State.
Yeah.
Where I played basketball.
Yeah.
Lake Superior State is in the middle of nowhere. It was another cultural shock thing for me. It allowed me to experience what, Canadians, Yoopers, people from other countries, because we had a lot of foreign students for our sports like hockey and stuff like that. So great experience in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. Spent 4 years there.
Now you talking about Chicago cold. That Upper Peninsula, Michigan.
Yeah, it's different.
Oh,
it's different.
Yeah.
But as a college student, you kind of live in the life. You get accustomed.
It's a different vibe. Yeah.
Your body acclimates very quickly if you spend enough time in it, and it became normal for us.
Ooh, I even the thought of it, I'm like, no. I've only been up there one time, and it was in the winter.
Oh wow.
I went to Michigan Tech.
Oh wow.
To visit somebody.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't know why anybody's up here. This is too cold. I can't do this.
You gotta be special.
Yeah. So you're playing ball.
Yep. Played ball there. Played 4 years. Met some of my greatest friends of all time. While I was up there, along with my friends from Southfield. I just kind of keep my teammates.
Got it.
Much like your husband.
Yeah.
I keep my teammates
Yeah.
around. He and I were teammates when we were like in the fifth grade.
And you guys are still connected.
But that's
amazing.
Southfield.
That's Southfield.
Yeah.
You're making me jealous of this Southfield,
I'm
great
sure,
American city vibe.
I'm sure he has told you stories.
He has.
He ain't lying.
Sometimes I feel like they're unbelievable.
No, it's the truth. Every single one of them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
We lived a charmed life.
A charmed life. That's what I'm going to say. Because I'm like, there's no way.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So then what happened after college?
Yeah, left Lake Superior State.
Yeah.
Was not good enough to play in the pros, and I knew I wasn't good enough at a very young age because I had a father who was a high school basketball coach.
Okay.
And he was
like,
good
no.
at reminding me that, hey, you're good enough to play here, sir.
Yeah.
But you're not good enough to do that next level thing.
Yeah.
But I had a dream in the back of my mind, too.
Okay.
And my dream was to make it to the league. I used to tell people I would make it to the league.
Yeah.
But they didn't understand that I wasn't talking about playing.
You were like, I'm trying to work there.
Yeah.
I want to be involved.
Absolutely.
Okay, so what does that look like?
So I get my master's in social work from Wayne State University of Detroit.
Yeah.
And immediately began my clinical work. Started working with young people. Got an opportunity to work with the Detroit Pistons. And I started working
as
on my
a social worker.
Yes.
Oh, this is amazing. Okay,
Yeah.
Go ahead.
And this was before social workers and psychologists were involved with teams.
Okay.
So we're talking 1997, 98.
Okay.
Interesting enough, I got that job because I could play basketball.
They not because of the social work skills. They
Not
were
at
like,
first.
you can ball.
Not at first.
Okay.
Right. So I get invited to participate at it's Beverly Hills Racquetball Club. It's one of the esteemed racquetball clubs.
Okay.
And a lot of the Pistons players and family and friends worked out there.
Okay.
I got invited to play some pickup ball with them because they had this little team that they were going around playing charity games.
Okay.
I show up in the situation, play well.
Mm-hmm.
They asked me to join the team.
Oh.
While I'm traveling with the team, I start talking to the guy who runs the program.
Yeah.
And he's asking me what I do. And
Yeah.
I said, well, I'm a social worker. I work at a school.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm working on my Ph.D. in sports and health psychology.
Yeah.
He asked me if I wanted to work for the Pistons right there.
That's how you got the job?
That's how it happened. On the basketball court.
On the court.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, so what was that like?
It was surreal. And at first it was a lot to absorb.
Okay.
I worked with Grant Hill, Joe Dumars in his last year.
This is amazing.
Some very well known. We had some tragedies in our situations. We lost a player who died at sea.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, and but that's part of working in sport. It's the ups, the downs.
The ups and downs, yes. Yeah. Oh, wow.
So spent some time there. I did the career no in sports.
What is that?
And I quit the job. They were adjusting some things, and I didn't like the way it looked, and so I quit.
They were adjusting some things.
Yeah.
What are those things?
So at that point, I had my master's.
Yeah.
Working towards my Ph.D. And they were going to cut the funding in my department. They asked me to take a $5,000 pay cut. We're talking about the Detroit Pistons.
Right.
NBA.
Yeah.
Right?
And they're going to ask you to take a pay cut?
One of the first teams to own their own stadium, right?
Right.
They asked me for a $5,000 pay cut. And so I handed it back and said, hey, I can't do that.
Yeah.
And left. I was lucky enough to have another option to go back and work in social work. In high schools. And so I think that was a good turning point for me to go back and recalibrate. I started doing some independent work, working with individuals who needed help and were actually asking for it.
And wanted it. Yeah, that's different.
And then I did some camps in the summer and started doing some programming and some presentations.
Yeah.
And ended up getting another option with the Lions.
Oh, okay.
So I ended up being with the Lions for 11 years.
Yeah. That's a long time.
Yeah.
That's
really.
a good,
And then I left there and took a job in Sacramento with the Sacramento Kings.
Wow.
And I was there for 4.5 years, and about that time, I kind of got my fill of it.
Okay.
I did have to make a decision because they let me go. They fired me.
Why?
Because that's what happens in sports.
I'm not used to that cut, move culture.
Yeah.
That would give me extreme anxiety.
Yeah, and I think I became a slave to that a little bit.
Ooh.
And so it was at that opportunity that I could have gone back into the mixer. I had some opportunities. Minnesota had an opening. I think at the time Houston had an opening too. And I didn't feel like it was the right thing for me.
You're like, I'm not doing this anymore.
I'm not doing it again.
Yeah. How long were you at Sacramento?
5 years.
See, that's a long 11, then 5, and then they were like, all right. Like you're a player? Like you're just...
Hey, when the new regime comes in, you get a new general manager, you get a new head coach.
Yeah.
They want their people around, and I get that.
They
have a small window for them to be able to get it done. And if you don't align with what they're doing...
Then you got to go.
Yeah.
But they don't know if you align.
I was pretty heavy on the BLM. So yeah.
Yeah.
So
okay.
I'm a bit of a freedom fighter.
That's a good thing.
And I don't back off. And so corporate America doesn't always vibe with that.
I see.
So,
I see. You're like, I was heavy on the... I mean, me too.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Oh, yeah. I need to ask, though. Yeah. You said yes at all those opportunities. Uh-huh. How did you know you were ready?
For the jobs?
Yeah.
I didn't.
So
nobody goes into these jobs knowing they're ready. No head coach, no general manager.
Yeah.
Everybody's throwing stuff against the wall trying to figure out if it works.
So then how did you deal with that?
What I'm good with people.
Okay.
And I know how to work with people. And I know how to support people. I know how to help people with their needs.
Yeah.
So that's where I went. My core thing was help them with what they want to do and what they want to be. Okay.
Well, what was your day-to-day working on a sports team? Like, what does that look like?
Well, it fluctuates differently.
Okay.
The NBA is more of it's a steady, we're walking there,
yeah.
We're going to get there. We're going to play a game here, and then we're going to take a night off.
Yeah.
And then we're going to fly over here. So it was a lot of travel with that.
Yeah.
2 weeks on the road at a time sometimes.
Yeah.
Those things were different.
Yeah.
And more difficult. Football, you really only get 1 month out of the year off. You get like 3 weeks, 3.5 weeks.
This sounds horrible.
But it's like, it's continuous grind for 7 days a week, every day.
Yeah.
You play, you literally work all week. You play on Sunday.
Yeah.
Start week over again on Monday. And
that wasn't draining? You did that for 11 years.
Yeah. It was tiring.
Okay, so somewhere in this timeline, you find time to date, marry? Like, how does this work?
I got married when I was 28.
Okay.
She kind of we married into it. She knew her role. We well-oiled machine.
Okay. You were like, we have.
I even coached basketball for my son during that time.
How?
Hey, you just don't sleep much.
Okay.
You do whatever you can do. And so one thing I would say to anybody who wants to work in professional sports, know that you're about to dedicate your life to it.
So it's not a job. This isn't a 40-hour week, 9 to 5, clock in and out culture.
No.
Okay, but you do know that's the vibe right now.
Well, then those vibes ain't working in professional sports. That's why it's so unique.
Okay.
That's why it's so difficult to get to.
Okay, because you have to fit into that culture.
Yes.
I've literally lost staff because they said, I'm done. I worked 45 hours this week, and I'm not going to give you any more of my time. And they're like, I can't do more than that. And they left.
Wouldn't last a moment in professional sports. Not a moment.
Not a moment.
A 60-hour week that's a good week.
Yeah.
That's a light week.
That's a light week.
Yeah.
What's a heavy week?
Well, I was in the building during training camp. I was in the building from 5 o'clock in the morning till 9 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
7 days a week, but I couldn't even go home. I had to sleep in a hotel, which was adjacent
to the center, like the training facility,
in case someone had an issue.
And you needed to be there.
Right. So I'm on call during that period for 11 years, 24 hours a day, 365 days out the year.
That's amazing.
Phone cannot be on vibrate. It has to be on
all the time.
On the time.
On call. And you were used that way. Like you never had a down.
Never. I don't think I took a vacation.
Wow.
Never left the country unless it was with the team in 11 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
I feel a way about that, right? Like, because what about you as a person, as a being?
Well, I mean, I think it took a little toll, but I did enjoy it.
Okay.
Game days are amazing.
Okay.
Football game days are amazing. Basketball game days are pretty boring. But football game days are amazing.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I think that I think from an entertainment standpoint, people work really, really hard to put that product out there.
Yeah.
And I respect what they do.
Yeah.
I just couldn't do it anymore.
Okay. You're like, all right, it's enough for me.
Yeah.
Okay, but you said a couple of things. We haven't got to your Ph.D.
Okay.
And I need to know more about the heavy on the BLM and where that comes from.
Oh, for sure.
Okay, so Ph.D. and then BLM.
So Ph.D. It's really kind of funny because I was never a scholar.
Well, you said if it wasn't for sports or a whooping, you weren't even going to class.
Yeah.
So how do you go from that to doctor?
Crazy.
Okay.
So my uncle, Dr. Eugene Pettis, God rest his soul, was the first African American male that I met who was a Ph.D.
Yeah.
Who was in a health field.
Yeah.
And he had a Ph.D. in sociology, but he had a master's in social work.
Okay.
And I lost my father pretty early. I was 19 years old.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, it was tough, but I had people who stepped in, and he was one of them.
Okay. Yeah.
And I watched what he did, and I was like, man, this dude has a pretty cool job.
Yeah. It sounds like it.
And he rubbed off on me in so many major ways. He poured into me, and I would definitely say that I got a Ph.D. because one, my mother wanted to see it happen, but two, because I honored him. I respected him so much.
That's a beautiful story.
Yeah.
That's a wonderful way to honor him. You said he stepped in, and then you were like, well, let me do this.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
He was at my hooding and all those types of things, so he was able to see those things. I was able to thank him back by bringing him to games and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I think we all need somebody. If we can't see it,
yeah, it's hard.
Yeah, if we can't touch it, it's hard to believe that it can happen.
Well, that's why I always tell people representation matters. So I've written children's books with black children in them doing things that they traditionally wouldn't be doing, like being engineers, because people don't think that it's important, and it is. Because if I can't see it, I don't even know it's something that I can attain.
Yeah.
So I just want to make things more attainable to kids
100%.
And people in general. I love that for you.
Yeah.
And I love that you contribute to this.
Yeah, it worked out.
I love this, right? I'm like, okay, that's perfect. But then you're heavy on the BLM.
For sure.
Where'd that come from?
I think I did a lot of reading as a young person. I'm a huge Muhammad Ali fan.
Okay.
Um, and I'm big on people who say what they're going to do and do it.
Okay.
Um, just sitting back and kind of listening to some of the rhetoric and having experienced things I've experienced, out my culture journey, being in Sault Ste. Marie and being one of only 6 black people and having to explain, why I did things the way I did. You know, we all know that this country is in turmoil.
I was like, how do we describe what we're living?
The word is turmoil, and it's we've got a lot of healing to do.
Yes.
But this is what happens to countries that are as young as ours.
Yes. I think people forget, when people say, oh, this is one of the best experiments or the greatest experiment is the United States. We are very young.
We're an infant. We're an infant compared to countries in Europe.
Yes.
And so, we've got a lot. We're still going to bump our heads a lot on a lot of things.
I don't want to be here while they're doing it, though.
Yeah, we'll be gone before they fix it.
That doesn't bother you at all?
Nah, I'll do my part right now.
Okay, what is your part right now?
So I can talk about PAL now.
Yes,
Yeah.
What is your part right now?
So my part is I work for National Police Athletic League now.
Yes.
And what I've found is that the true joy in combining sport and work has been achieved by myself here.
Okay.
I'm able to write a national program for mental health that helps young people figure it out.
Yes.
They're not good at the friendship things. They're not good at the interaction things.
Yeah.
But they are very good at saying, hey, you know what? I don't think I'm feeling that right in my head.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Because I'm the opposite. Very good at the interaction, the connections. But I don't know if I would always admit. I do now, but as a child, admit that something was wrong.
Yeah, we were taught to hide it.
Yeah.
Don't let anybody see weakness in you.
Yeah.
Don't cry. Don't, if you're upset, say you're okay.
Yeah.
I mean, you do it to people now. Yeah, if you watch somebody walk down the street and you see them walking and you say, hey, how are you doing? They're like, I'm fine.
Yes.
That's the natural reaction.
It is.
So, I think it's one of those things that we have to dig deeper. And that's what I'm doing with young people.
Yeah.
I'm pushing them to really talk about what they want to talk about.
So what do you attribute to this change in mental health for the youth?
Which portion? Their willingness?
The willingness.
Yeah. Well, they're smarter than we are.
Ooh.
They're smarter than
I've never had anyone say that.
Yeah. I mean, young people are smarter than us. They have more things at their fingertips.
Yeah.
They can, the things that it takes us a while to figure out.
Yeah.
They're already in it.
Yes.
They just don't understand. They don't have the social aspect of it because they've driven so hard with the technology.
Yes.
And so my goal is just to kind of bring those things to balance.
Yeah. Bring the worlds together.
Yeah.
So tell me more about what you guys do.
So what we try to do and what we have accomplished in a lot of ways is we want to change the lives of young people, as it relates to the relationships with police officers.
Yes.
And community policing. I'm a firm believer in, I grew up in a community where we didn't have issues with police officers.
Yeah.
I'm a PAL kid. I played PAL ball.
Yeah.
I had great relationships with the officers who worked with us.
Yeah.
And even those outside, when they saw us with our PAL shirts on, they recognized us for who we were.
Okay.
And so I have a very, very different, view of most police officers.
Interesting.
Now, let's not get it twisted.
Yeah.
There are 1 or 2 out here in the mix, and maybe more, that are doing things they shouldn't be doing.
Yes.
And are pushing a rhetoric that is encompassing everyone.
Yes.
When it should not, because I've had some outstanding relationships with police officers.
That is very personal, though. I have the opposite. I have really horrible stories and interactions with police.
That's awful. I'm sorry.
That's why I was like, this isn't me. Well, I don't want my children to have that same fear. I fear the police for, I feel like, very legitimate reasons. I was in the car when my dad got pulled over driving while black. Now, I can say, like, I didn't see extreme violence, but I knew very young what it was to be a black person and to be over-policed. And that hurts. But I don't know how to deal with it. So I'm like, please tell me how this works, because I don't want people to have this relationship that I have.
So have you ever been bit by a dog?
Yes.
Okay. Do you have a dog?
Yes.
Okay. So you got over your fear.
I did. I got over it.
Because all dogs weren't bad.
Correct.
It was just that dog that bit you.
Correct.
And we don't know what we did, right?
Correct.
And I'm not saying that people bring things upon themselves.
Yeah.
I can't say that.
Right.
But there's a couple bad dogs out there. Let's fix the dogs.
Let's fix the dogs. Well,
Let's
how
fix
do we
the
do
dogs.
that?
Well, I mean, I think through programming. I think through understanding. I
Okay.
think through, um, I think through interaction with police officers at a young age.
Yeah.
You create a distance because look, most of those officers who have issues deep down inside, they're afraid of who they're serving.
True. I agree with that.
Yeah.
Yes.
The ones who don't have issues know how to manage and walk through neighborhoods. They know how to speak to people.
Yeah.
They know they have good communication skills. They may have children themselves.
True. Yeah.
And those are the officers we want to put in front because we want our young people to understand that police do have a job.
Yes.
You know.
They have a function.
And they have a function. And look, I can disarm a police officer in 30 seconds.
Ooh. Okay.
All I got to do is talk to him.
Oh, see, I'm thinking like some Bruce Lee.
I mean, I don't think I'd go there with most of them. No, but I'm talking about mentally disarm them.
Yes.
Because most of the times on a traffic stop, they're afraid too.
I have empathy and understand how big the job will be.
Mm-hmm.
But I also know where I live, as in the United States, the rhetoric that they hear, the fear that they have, and the fact that they have power to react to their fear that I don't.
Sure.
That power differential will always scare me.
Yeah, I understand that. And so one of the things you have to do is you have to learn how to utilize that power for your own good.
Okay.
And so, I'm not antagonizing them.
Yeah.
I work with them.
Yeah.
And I want to create situations where that the police start looking at things that, like, how can we bring social workers in?
Yes.
How can we bring psychologists in to crime scenes? How can we have therapy dogs?
Yes.
One of the biggest things we're pushing is we want all of our PAL units and all of the units, police officer units that are involved with our PAL kids to have therapy dogs.
Yeah.
Because that's the easiest way to get a child to understand.
Like, oh, yeah.
And so I've seen it work. I too once had a fear of police. I think I have a greater understanding
of the police
now.
And do you think that the kids that participate share that understanding?
Yes.
How do people get involved?
Oh, there's a number of different ways. We have our national website, which is www.nationalpal.org.
Okay, look, I'm like,
you can throw that nationalpal.org. You can find the PAL unit in your area. The one thing you have to understand about police too is we have a little bit of a reach when it comes to resources.
Yeah.
And things that we can utilize as well. So you look at things like sports leagues.
Mm-hmm.
We have relationships with the NBA.
Yeah.
We have relationships with the NFL. And so that we can do some things there that are going to be really big.
Yeah. We're
looking at doing some equestrian psychology.
Oh,
yeah.
Really?
Getting kids from the city and taking them to the suburbs or rural areas and getting them
ride
on horses.
horses?
Yeah.
I love horses.
Yeah.
I did grow up in the country, y'all, because I rode horses all the time.
But it doesn't just stop there, because when I was a kid, it was all about sports. It was all basketball.
Yeah, I can believe that.
But we do things like technology work.
Okay.
We are embarking on STEM.
See, you are STEMmy.
Yeah.
Okay, so what's that look like?
So we have read, and Delano gave me some information that I was able to take back to my boss, that, and I may get this wrong, so you may have to correct me.
I'll help you.
Is it if young people don't figure out a STEM direction by the time they're in the 6th grade?
If they're not in algebra by 8th grade, they are not going to get into the highest STEM degrees possible. Mm-hmm. They'll have to do significant remediation, which people don't like to admit. Normally, you take algebra in the 9th. You need to take algebra in the 8th grade. That trajectory is usually planned for kids by the time they're in the 5th grade.
Based on the school system.
Based on the school systems. And the fastest way out of poverty, or to even have social mobility, you don't have to be impoverished, right? Like, this could be like, I just want to go from middle class to higher. Yeah. Is education. Yes. But you have to have the proper education.
Yes. Access and resources.
Yes.
Access to resources.
You have to have access to these resources. And so we are designing by our educational systems, just to steal the line from the movie Joe Clark, of a permanent underclass. We absolutely do that. And there's no one stopping it. Parents aren't, we've done this work, parents aren't sure how to advocate, and they don't know where to go. And so people are vulnerable.
Yeah, I think most people kind of like, it's kind of like after you get your kids done,
Mm-hmm.
you're not reaching back worrying
You're
about,
not.
yeah.
You're not. I have mine that I need to take care of, and that's what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's the American way now, right?
It is.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
I'm more communal than that, but
Yes.
I wish we all were a little bit more communal. I do think there are cultures that are, but we make it seem like it's a bad thing.
Yes.
It's not.
It is not.
I love community, and I do believe in the village, and I think that we have the skill sets, but people need to feel comfortable using them to help one another.
Sure.
I ask this all the time. What happens if we all thrive?
We all
What bad
thrive.
happens? We all thrive.
Yeah.
There's
But
not a negative here.
Yeah, but it's always, you think about it, there's always this undertowing or underlying nature amongst people in America in general
Yes.
of I have to win.
I have to win, and no one admits this. This is my thought. People like feeling better than other people. Even if we don't want to admit it,
Yeah.
there's a little
Yeah.
a joy in feeling
Yeah.
better than somebody else.
Yeah,
And it plays into that psyche.
for sure. Yeah. It's a reward for
It's a
sure.
reward.
Yeah.
Okay, but back to the fact that you have resources
Yeah.
to
so,
help with this problem.
Yeah, I mean
yeah,
we're in almost every state.
that's awesome.
We have 300 PAL locations across the country.
Wow, that's a lot.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, some are small. We
But
have
that's
some that only
okay.
service 20 kids, but then we have some that serve thousands.
Wow.
And so we have stood behind some of the other organizations before,
Yeah.
but we're taking a totally new direction.
Okay.
And that direction is we're going to be a program and an organization that professes mental health.
I love this.
And so we created a program called GRIT.
Okay.
GRIT stands for Growth Mindset.
Yeah.
We're going to take kids and show them things that they've never seen before.
Yeah.
We want to develop a level of resilience in them, which is the R. We want them to know that, hey, look, you're going to have some speed bumps in life, but we're not going to quit.
Right.
We're going to learn how to find resources to get us over that speed bump.
Right.
Initiative.
Yes.
The I. We want them to learn how to take the initiative. So many of our young people are like, I'm not going there to talk to that person, or I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to step out of this. I'm not going to stop sitting next to my friend.
Yeah.
No, you got to go sit over there and meet somebody else at a conference.
Yes.
Or you have to spend some time with some other people to understand other people.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
And so that's the initiative portion.
Okay.
And then tenacity is kind of the reward. It's like when somebody figures it out and they do something big, the tenacity portion of it is when they attack it without any qualms or fears.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You have a lot of success following your grit model, yeah?
I do.
I'm I have a feeling the kids are just outstanding.
Well, I'm a walking representative of what it is.
Because you said you were a PAL kid.
I was a PAL kid.
That's amazing. And now you work for the organization. How do you feel about that?
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. It is the single most enjoyable job I've ever had. The single most rewarding job that I've ever had in my life.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Given all of your experience, what are your 3 main takeaways from all of that work that you've been doing, especially around mental health?
People are always going to hurt,
Okay.
but there are ways to find sanity, a safe space, and your true self. Because
Yes.
that's the one thing. We're always, and that would be number 2, is that your true self is worth it. Like, you don't have to hide who you genuinely are.
Oh, say that again. Your true self is worth it.
Yeah, it's one of those things I think, especially as African Americans, we find ourselves adapting the way that we talk
Yes.
and the way that we move.
Yes.
And, some of our cultural colloquialisms and things that we cannot say around other people, sure, some are not to be shared, but others are educational.
Yes.
And they are who we are. And so I've had to learn how to be my genuine self.
Okay.
I've had to learn how to step out, kind of on faith and not be afraid of what other people think. And so that's been part of my struggling journey.
Okay. Yeah.
And I think the last thing is that regardless of what color we are, we're all people.
Yes.
And it's like you said, if we all thrive, then it's cool.
Yes.
We'll all be in a good place.
Yes.
We don't have to sit in these us against them situations
All the
for rest
time,
of
not
our
up.
life.
No, we don't. There are times where there's this them versus us, but it's not 100%.
No.
And it shouldn't be.
No, doesn't have to be.
Doesn't have to be.
Yeah.
Okay, but I have to ask about this. You went into higher ed for a little bit. What was that like?
I enjoyed that as well. I worked at University of Illinois, Chicago.
Yeah.
I was there for 3 years.
Yeah.
You start adding these years up, man. I'm old, right?
No one's doing that. We're not busting out calculators.
I just added it because you kept saying that's a long time.
Well, 11 years on a sports team when you're talking about they have this cut culture.
Yeah.
I was like, that's you made it.
Yeah, survivor mode for
That
sure.
is, he said that's a long time. That was my Kevin Hart moment.
Right.
Damn, like
that's a long time. Yeah, no. I'll always be connected to higher ed.
Okay.
Because I just believe that that is where people find themselves. You talk about finding your genuine self.
Oh, yes.
You know, I knew 6 months into my freshman year that I wasn't going to be a business major, and I had to get out of this accounting class, or it was going to eat me alive.
He said, "I got to get out of here."
Yeah, I can't do that.
Yeah.
And then I actually went into exercise science for a minute. I saw, I can't do that either.
Why? That sounds like it would fit.
That wasn't it for me.
Okay.
You know? But the mental health portion was.
You found it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so the one thing that's really cool is watching other young professionals figure it out.
Yes.
Because we need more and more people of color in mental health.
Yes. We do.
I mean, there's not enough. True story.
Yeah.
True story. I am sitting in the airport in Utah. My flight is canceled because it's so much smog they can't see over the mountains.
Okay.
So I can either go to the hotel or stay in the airport.
Yeah.
So stay in the airport 6 hours. I'll be able to get on the next plane and go home.
Yeah.
So I'm laying on the floor with my bag.
Yeah.
Sleeping, and there's a lady, an older white lady, sitting in the chair next to where I'm laying. And so we started talking, and she says to me, "Oh, you're such an intelligent young man." She said, what do you do for a living?" You're right.
Yeah.
I said, I'm a psychologist.
Yeah.
She paused, and she leaned back, and she said, "Well, excuse me, but I don't know if I've ever met a colored psychologist before."
Wow.
Yeah. But, I'm sitting there for a second. I'm like, she's right.
She's not wrong.
She's
not
right.
wrong. But, ma'am.
Yeah, and look, she was.
Okay.
In her era, that was the word.
It was her.
That was the usage. So I wasn't tripping off of that. She didn't mean. She just didn't have the right terminology.
She didn't have the right terminology.
Yeah, and so it's cool. I gave her a pass on that. But she was right.
Yes.
Because I don't know many.
I was going to tell you, I tried to find a therapist, and I like to have all my healthcare providers and people in my circle to be black. Not because I have an extreme bias. I need you to understand the conditions in which I'm living.
Yes.
It plays a part in my life. And so I don't want to have to over-explain
For sure.
my life.
100.
It is the most challenging thing
100%.
to find.
100%. And try to find a black male.
It's even worse.
You can find a black female way quicker than you can find an African American male.
Agreed.
And so, we've even started a group of friends and I have thought about starting a program to encourage African American athletes to go into the fields of social work, mental health, psychology, because there's such a need.
Yes. The fact that this is a position in athletics lets you know how big of a need. And that's just one. How many people are actually in athletics?
Well, now every team has one.
Oh.
Every team has one. They may not be full-time, but they're around.
But they have somebody that they can possibly reach out to.
Yeah.
But still.
It took us a long time to get to that. We're talking 20 years.
Okay.
So when I was working for the Pistons, there was no one else in the league doing that. What I was doing.
So you're a trailblazer.
I'm one of 2 or 3 people to have worked in both the NFL and NBA in substance abuse and social work full-time for teams.
Wow.
And quite frankly, I believe I am the first psychologist to work in both leagues full-time for a team.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Trailblazer. So we said we were going to call you Dr. Galen. It's Trailblazer, Dr. Galen. That's
Funny.
amazing. That's awesome.
I haven't really thought about that. There's been some who have done consulting, but have not
No,
worked
you were
full-time.
doing it in there. It was more than full-time. We need another word for that because you were on call 24/7. Full-time is at least 40 to 60. You were out here 24/7. Yeah.
It's sports time.
Sports time. Yeah, sports time.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Kudos to you because
Thank you.
you're also very humble. You have a very humble humble spirit. But I want you to know, like, people can't just do that.
I've been very blessed.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm extremely blessed.
I subscribe.
I've had the right people behind me. I've had the right mentors and people in my corner. So I've had the right friendships.
Yeah.
So
that matters.
Oh, big time. And I've had the right guidance from my parents. My parents
Mm-hmm.
were both educators, incredible people.
Mm-hmm.
My mother took over when my father passed, and she's run this ship quite well.
I love that.
Yeah. So
Yeah. Okay.
I'm very blessed and lucky in a lot of ways.
Well, I can feel that, and I can see that in your story. Thank you for sharing some of your story and your life with me. Any final thoughts that you would like to share with anybody watching or listening?
If you have young people
Yes.
around, get them involved with PAL.
Yeah.
Find your local PAL organization and get involved. And if you don't have one in the area, start one. It's not that hard to do.
Okay, so we can start one.
Absolutely.
Perfect.
Yeah, you find
Okay.
some good police officers.
Yeah.
You find a chief who's willing to commit some of those officers to that.
Yeah.
And you get a good structure. You can, and we have a lot of funding.
Okay.
We have a lot of national funding that we
Say
provide.
less.
So
It's resourced.
yes, it's very well resourced.
Okay.
And they're not gonna defund the police.
They're not. That's not happening. Yeah. Okay.
So yeah, I would leave that. If you're close or you have an idea, get in touch and get involved.
Thank you. Thank you, Trailblazer. Dr. Galen, thank you for coming. And we will learn more about PAL. And we'll put some links so that way you can access it. But thank you.